Australia's origins as a British penal colony are often simplified into the idea that the country was merely founded by criminals. While it is true that Britain transported thousands of convicts to Australia in the late 18th and 19th centuries, the full story is much more complex. Penal settlements were only one aspect of colonisation, with free settlers, administrators, and indigenous populations shaping the country's development. The idea that Australia is a nation built on a foundation of convicts is both true and misleading. Convicts were indeed sent to Australia, but their contributions, along with those of free settlers, led to the creation of modern Australia. This video explores why Britain chose Australia as a penal colony, the journey of the First Fleet, the role of convicts in early settlement, and how Australia's convict past influenced its national identity. By the late 18th century, Britain was experiencing a severe crisis in its justice and penal system. The Industrial Revolution had led to increased urbanisation, and with it, crime rates had surged. Theft and petty crimes were rampant due to poverty and unemployment. British law was harsh, and even minor offences such as stealing food or clothing could lead to the death penalty or transportation. Prison overcrowding had become a major issue. The existing jails were unable to accommodate the rising number of prisoners, and the conditions were appalling. Previously, Britain had sent convicts to North America, but the American Revolution put an end to that practice. With nowhere to send its convicts, Britain began using prison ships known as hulks, which were old naval vessels anchored in rivers. These floating prisons were overcrowded, disease-ridden, and inhumane. The British government needed an alternative. In 1770, Captain James Cook had explored and claimed the eastern coast of Australia, naming it New South Wales. The vast and sparsely populated land seemed an ideal place for penal transportation. In 1786, the British government officially decided to establish a penal colony in Australia, hoping that convicts could be used to build settlements and develop the land. In May 1787, the First Fleet, commanded by Captain Arthur Phillip, set sail from Portsmouth, England. The fleet consisted of 11 ships carrying around 1,500 people, including approximately 750 convicts, as well as soldiers, officers, and crew. The journey was long and arduous, lasting 8 months, with stops in Tenerife, Rio de Janeiro, and Cape Town to resupply. On January 18, 1788, the First Fleet arrived at Botany Bay. However, the area was found to be unsuitable due to a lack of fresh water and poor soil. Phillip decided to relocate the settlement to Port Jackson, where Sydney Cove was established on January 26, 1788. This date is now celebrated as Australia Day. Life for the convicts was extremely difficult. They faced brutal conditions, insufficient food, harsh punishments, and a climate unlike anything they had known in Britain. Many were put to work constructing roads, buildings, and farms. Discipline was strict, and those who disobeyed were flogged or placed in solitary confinement. Despite their status as criminals, convicts were crucial to the colony's survival. They provided a labour force that built essential infrastructure, cleared land for agriculture, and helped establish trade. Many convicts were skilled workers such as carpenters, blacksmiths, stonemasons, and farmers, whose expertise was invaluable to the fledgling colony. Some convicts, particularly those with good behaviour, were given tickets of leave, allowing them to work for wages and live independently. Others, after serving their sentences, became free settlers, acquiring land and contributing to the growth of the colony. Over time, many former convicts established businesses, built homes, and became respected members of society. Transportation of convicts was not only a punishment, but also a method of colonisation. Between 1788 and 1868, around 162,000 convicts were sent to Australia. While some remained criminals, the vast majority adapted to their new lives, integrating into the developing colony. As the population grew, the British government sought to expand its control over Australia. New settlements were established in other parts of the continent. Hobart, 1804, founded in Van Diemen's Land, or now modern-day Tasmania, primarily as a penal settlement. Tasmania became known for its harsh convict system, including notorious penal colonies like Port Arthur. Brisbane, 1824, established as a penal colony for the worst offenders. It later developed into a major commercial city. Perth, 1829, initially a free settlement. Western Australia eventually requested convicts to assist with labour shortages. Melbourne in 1835, and Adelaide in 1836. Unlike other cities, these were founded by free settlers rather than as penal colonies. By the mid-19th century, the convict transportation system began to decline. Free settlers, who had arrived in increasing numbers, resented being associated with convicts and pushed for an end to transportation. The last convicts were sent to Western Australia in 1868. While convicts were instrumental in the early development of Australia, free settlers also played a crucial role. The British government encouraged immigration, and thousands of people came seeking opportunities. The discovery of gold in the 1850s led to a massive population boom. Gold rushes in Victoria and New South Wales attracted immigrants from Britain, China, and other parts of the world. The influx of wealth transformed Australia, leading to rapid urbanisation and the construction of roads, railways, and industries. By the late 19th century, Australia had evolved from a penal colony into a prosperous society with a growing economy and democratic governance. In 1901, the 6 colonies united to form the Commonwealth of Australia, officially becoming a self-governing nation. Australia's convict past has played a significant role in shaping its national identity. For many years, there was a stigma attached to convict ancestry, and people often tried to hide their family's history. However, in recent decades, there has been a shift in perspective. Many Australians now embrace their convict heritage with pride, seeing it as a testament to resilience, perseverance, and survival. Genealogical research into convict ancestry has become popular, with many discovering that their ancestors were among the early convicts who helped build the country. The convict era also contributed to Australia's national values. The harsh treatment of convicts fostered a strong sense of mateship and egalitarianism, principles that continue to define Australian culture today. However, Australia's colonial past also includes darker aspects, particularly the mistreatment of Indigenous Australians. The arrival of British settlers led to the dispossession, violence, and suffering of Aboriginal peoples. Today, Australia continues to grapple with these historical injustices, working towards reconciliation and acknowledging the full story of its past. While Australia was founded as a penal colony, it quickly grew into much more than a land of criminals. Convicts played a crucial role in the country's early development, but free settlers, Indigenous peoples, and later immigrants all contributed to its transformation into a modern nation. Australia's convict past is now seen as a unique part of its history, one that symbolises resilience and the ability to turn hardship into success. From its humble beginnings as a penal colony to its emergence as a thriving democratic nation, Australia's story is one of survival, innovation, and national pride. The transition from a penal colony to a flourishing nation was not immediate, nor was it free of struggle. The contributions of convicts, their descendants, and free settlers built the foundation of an egalitarian society. The convict era influenced Australia's values of hard work, determination, and an unyielding spirit in the face of adversity. Today, Australians acknowledge and embrace this past, recognising that the challenges faced by their forebears contributed to the nation's identity. Moreover, Australia's history serves as a reminder of both triumphs and injustices. While celebrating the perseverance of early settlers, the nation also continues to address the historical mistreatment of Indigenous Australians. This complex history is integral to modern Australia, shaping its ongoing journey toward reconciliation and unity. Ultimately, Australia's transformation from a penal colony to an independent and prosperous nation demonstrates the power of human resilience and the capacity for change. The country's story, once marked by hardship and punishment, has evolved into one of success, multiculturalism, and national pride, proving that a nation's past does not define its future, but rather shapes the path it chooses to follow. If you enjoyed this video and want to support our work, consider subscribing. Your support helps us continue to bring insightful and informative content, and stay updated on more fascinating historical and cultural stories. Thank you for watching.